Here we are, Saturday Division Series, October 7th, Run Pure Sports, Swing for the Fences show. I'm here with my guy, Gary. We got a quick half-an-hour show to run down the MLB DFS slate. It's a big-time Saturday across all sports, Gary. You were talking about getting your college lineup in. It's an awesome college slate, starting with Oklahoma, Texas. There's a UFC card at 4 o'clock after not having one last week. How you feeling, man?
Yeah, excited for the division series. Obviously, as the priority, my priority of today. But like I said, pre-show, I had to jam in my lineup for college football. Bill and the guys over there just do a tremendous job on the playbook every week. Big T's on a heater too, so had to get that lineup in and follow those guys. And yeah, UFC later. UFC, man, I hate UFC DFS. I mean, it's just. I feel like it's just a coin flip. No matter how hard you analyze a fight, it seems like it goes the other way all the time. But I'll have a lineup in for it. But yeah, definitely excited for the division series here and for the Braves to get some retribution against the Phillies.
So, it's a huge series, man. We'll just start with the pitching here. You did the playbook up on the site. You've got 5 guys here, but as we were talking, I think that kind of depends on how many lineups you are rolling out there. Why don't you give us a quick overview of the pitching?
Yeah, so, obviously, everybody knows that I'm a Braves homer, but Spencer Strider's projection is just so much higher than everybody else's here. 23 projection here on the site. I think you just lock them in, especially if you're only playing like 3 lineups, like you said, pre-show. Just lock Strider in, and I think he might come in like the 3rd highest owned pitcher on the slate too, which I think is crazy. Because I think Bradish and Verlander are going to get a lot of steam, and for good reason for Bradish, not so much for Verlander in my opinion. But yeah, I'm mostly on the Spencer Strider and Kyle Bradish train today. My low-owned guy, I really like Merrill Kelly today. I think he hasn't given up a homer to them all season. In 20 innings. Yeah, he got roughed up in his last start against them. But yeah, I think he can get us 15 to 20 DraftKings points at like 12% owned today, which is really good, really interesting for me on a 12-game slate or on a 4-game slate. I just don't know if I'm going to do it on like a main team. Yeah, that's my only worry. But definitely if I was doing 20, he would definitely be my 3rd highest owned pitcher for sure.
What do you think about Kershaw here at 9-1? Pretty much fully stretched now, but it showed some cracks down the stretch, and this Arizona lineup has been hitting lefties a bit.
Yeah, so Kershaw, I looked at his stats this morning. He's got the 3rd highest xFIP on the slate over the last 5 weeks. 14% walk rate. He's walking guys a little bit. And his velo is like way down. I looked at his, I think it was like 88 miles an hour over the last month, which coincides with him getting hit really hard. He also has the highest barrel rate allowed on the slate over the last 5 weeks and the highest exit velocity allowed over the last 5 weeks, which coincides with that velocity dip. So I'm very worried here about Clayton Kershaw, and I like the Snakes here tonight a lot. And it's going to start with Christian Walker, who just absolutely obliterates him over the course of his career. He's got 5 home runs. And Lourdes Gurriel's another guy who hits lefties really well. Kelto Marte, those guys. So I'm more so on the Snakes here than I am on the Dodgers.
Yeah, same. I think I'm going to have 3 pitchers in my pool today. Heavy lean on Strider Bradish combo with some Verlander. I just think I'll have some Twins, but they are such a feast or famine team that they could strike out 9 times or hit 3 or 4 bombs off of Verlander. So strong lean to Strider Bradish on my main lineup. Captain in the chat says that the Dodgers plan was basically announced 5 innings for Kershaw, then the pen. So not much interest there. We'll have some Arizona minis. We can talk about that later. But, yeah, Strider here, he's been really, really good against the Phillies all season. And when we get into the bats, we'll talk about it. The pricing is kind of depressed across the board, except for a couple of top-tier bats like Acuna, Jordan, Altuve, guys like that. But, the non-superstar bats are priced down a bit pretty much across the board here. So Strider is a priority for me. I'm playing 3 main lineups. I'm going to lock him in all 3 and just kind of figure it out from there. Bradish was awesome pretty much all season, under the radar, probably top 5 Cy Young guy.
Easily. It's been awesome.
2.83 ERA was great down the stretch. The Rangers lineup isn't a pushover as we all know, but pretty chilly in Baltimore today. Tough park to hit bombs when it's chilly out. So not the cleanest matchup, but at his price tag, what is he, 7.5? Pretty hard to ignore here. I am an O's fan, but I don't just jam Orioles pitchers. I actually really didn't play much Bradish the entire season. So that's my main lean. And then, like I said, with Verlander, I think on one of my 3, I'll have him. The strikeout upside with the Twins is just really high. And if Verlander at home strikes at 8 or 10, you're probably going to need him. So I do like the Twins here. I actually like the over in that game. I think both sides can get the job done, especially the Houston side, which we'll talk about. Any love for like a Rangers Suarez? I know beforehand you said that he has pitched well in certain spots against this Braves team. He's very, very cheap. He's 6,100. Any love for like him or the cheap Rangers guys?
I mean, if I was doing 20, I'd probably sprinkle him in just a little bit because like I said, Ranger Suarez, I mean, he just lucks his way into a good start like all the time. I think he's only pitched against the Braves once this year. He came out with like 22 DraftKings points. So, I mean, that's always – I'm always hesitant against a guy like Suarez who just, gets a lot of ground balls, especially versus lefties. And I know we only got two lefties in the lineup today, but just takes down the overall ceiling of the Brave stack. So, I wouldn't hate Suarez in 20 lineups or more, but definitely not 3 lineups or less.
Yeah, and I think I'm fully off of the Rangers pitchers here just because of their approach. I think Haney probably goes, through the order once and then we go to Dunning or something like that. All right, so that's enough on pitching. Let's go to the games. Game 1 in the best ballpark in baseball, Camden Yards. We got our guy VIP's Rangers against my O's. Big series here. We have both lineups out, Gary. Let's start out with the lineups. Is there anything that stands out to you as to what the teams did here?
Just looking here. The Orioles obviously went right-handed heavy outside of Mullins down in the 8-hole. But they have a few switch hitters in there too, which shouldn't affect the lineup overall as far as DFS goes when Dunning does come in. So Hayes is going to be an option, a priority for me today. The dude just mashes left-handed pitching. We say it all the time. He's got a massive walk rate against lefties too. Just sees the ball really well against left-handed pitching. So definitely like him. The top 3 for the Orioles definitely stands out to me the most. But you're going to get Gunnar Henderson probably lower owned, I would think today anyway, with Heaney starting and him being a lefty. But overall, though, I'm not too into this Orioles or this Texas team as far as bats today. It's just a very pitcher-friendly ballpark. And I think Baltimore is going to be one of the higher-owned teams on the slate as far as bats from what I'm seeing anyway. Do you see anything different there?
Yeah, so I had a couple of notes on this game. I don't like this game much at all for bats, honestly. I think that the O's come out kind of tight here. I think it's a lower scoring game. That's kind of scary with like the Rangers pen being so bad and this being kind of a pen game, Haney starting. But I just have a feeling that this series opens up low scoring. And Sabres got Baltimore bats, the top 6 owned bats on the slate, all Baltimore bats. I don't love that in this spot. The notes I had, so for Texas, they bumped up Evan Carter to the 5-hole. I don't know if I love that. Like, he was just rolling in the 9-hole, I don't really see a need to change that. Remember when the Braves moved up Harris last year after the hot start, and he kind of struggled a bit after they moved him up. I kind of like Carter as the second leadoff guy in that 9-hole. So and Grossman starting again in the 3-hole for some reason. I don't know what Garver has to do to get a start in the postseason here.
Do they? I mean, is Heim that much better defensively?
Heim is really good defensively. Yeah.
I mean, but that has to be it.
But they're carrying 3 catchers.
Yeah.
They've got what's his name? I can't remember his name as the third guy. And then on the Baltimore
Pittsburgh
side,
guy.
Yeah. Hedges.
Hedges. Yeah.
So my notes for Baltimore are when Dunning comes in this game, I would be careful with guys like Westberg and Urias here. I think that we could see Frazier come in this game, or like a pinch hit for Herstad or something like that. So those two, I think, have the biggest pinch hit risk here, just with the way that Texas is going to play this game. So I'd be a bit careful with Westberg and Urias here. Awesome spot for Hayes and Mountcastle. I think they're the premier plays on Baltimore. They're also both really cheap. So I think that they come in really owned too. So for me, with my 3 lineups, I think I'm fading my boys here. I get the spot, right? It's a great spot. I think what I might do if I have to is one off like a Hayes or a Mountcastle, something like that. But at this ownership, I just don't like the park and the weather, and it just feels like a weird spot for me for Baltimore overall. Any last thoughts on this game?
Yeah, I think we're fully aligned here. I do still like Evan Carter a little bit, but he definitely won't be on my 1 lineup.
Yeah. I mean, what a start to a career in the postseason for him. Let's go to the next game here. We got DC's Twins against Phallics Astros. Lots of inter-RPS matchups we have here in the division series. What are your first thoughts on this game? We've got Ober against Verlander here in Houston.
Yeah, so I mean, I like this game a lot. I think I prefer the Houston side, which is crazy for me to say. I think because the Twins have been really hitting the ball really well, and I think actually the Twins might be lower owned than Houston here. So I don't know. I like both sides for offense for sure. Like you, I do like the over here in this game. Verlander being the second highest owned pitcher on the slate always piques my interest to have bats against them. And like you stated before, the Houston Astros don't have a lefty in the pen for this series. So that should kind of limit the pinch hit risk for these Twins. Hopefully Baldelli doesn't find another way or another reason to pull Matt Wallner out of the game when he's one of their best hitters outside of Royce Lewis, the GOAT, obviously. But I do like the Twins here quite a bit. So, yeah, definitely like both sides here.
Yeah, I think the biggest note is the one that you touched on. The Twins, the entire season, the biggest thing about stacking them is Rocco is a super, super platoon guy, especially with Wallner, Kirilloff, Julian, guys like that. Houston is not going to have the lefty in the bullpen. I want to say that again. So that just makes the Twins just that much better plays, right? Like it just reduces some of that risk for.
I'm seeing them all at 7% or less on Sabre.
Yeah. So I took the over in this game. I like Houston first 5. Yeah, I think that this is my favorite game stack of the day, honestly. So Houston was on like a long road trip at the end of the year, but remember that series right after they changed the batter's eye, we saw like a really high scoring series, and then we didn't hear much about it because they were on the road after that. So that's a factor too. The scary thing. By the way, yeah.
Well, sorry to interject, but I'm just looking at Sabre, and I pulled up Houston and Minnesota and their ownership. Royce Lewis's projected ownership today is 2.86%. Like, yes, sign me up.
Yeah, I mean, it's a strong third base slate. Also, he's 5,700.
I get it.
Yeah. So, but like we said, with the pricing of these secondary guys on the slate, I think that you can make it work. Like the pricing specifically for Houston outside of Jordan, I think and Tuve is pretty crazy. Like this is the first time I've seen Tucker under 5K all season. Bregman at home is 4.3. I think Maldi will start here at catcher. He's 2.6. Abreu, after coming off the IL, Gary was, had a strong
he's been breaking
season, and he's 3.3. So Houston's going to be on my main team. And then on the Twins side, it's scary going up against Verlander in the playoffs at home. But, he was also shaky down the stretch. We've been kind of attacking him a bit. The underlying stuff has been way worse than his actual numbers. And, he's the highest fly ball rate guy on this entire slate. So I think the Twins are really interesting for one-offs and for minis because he's going to give up a couple bombs. So I like the over. I like the full game stack. Twins just much better plays here with no lefties in the pen. I think that's just a huge deal. So any last thoughts here? We don't have lineups for either of these teams, I don't think yet.
Yeah, I think we're going to see standard lineups for both teams here. I think we see Michael A. Taylor play today for the Twins for defense, and then just the standard lefties. But yeah, Royce Lewis at 2% ownership on this slate is piquing my interest quite a bit, even versus Verlander. I mean, Verlander over the last 30 days has 60% hard contact to both sides of the plate. 60% hard contact to both sides. So I'm not scared of the righty-lefty matchups here, especially when it comes to the GOAT Royce Lewis, who is Baby Acuna, Royce Lewis.
Yeah, I'm a bit concerned about like the leg injury, but he's had a couple days off, so that'll help too. All right, let's move on to your game here. It's Gary versus the entire Discord at One Pier here. Apparently, everyone that subs is a fucking Phillies fan. So I'll just let you go here. What are your thoughts on the series after last year, and then this game specifically?
So it's kind of the same song and dance as last year. I mean, last year we came into the division series depleted with our pitching a little bit. Last year, Spencer Strider, he had a velocity drop in that series and got rocked. Which and after Strider, we really didn't have anybody that could do anything. And it's kind of the same song and dance here. No Kyle Wright on the division roster. Smith Shawver made the roster over him, who pitched really well in the intra-squad games this week and down the stretch for us. I mean, he's not a flashy guy, but I think we're going to see Elder in Game 3. I kind of wish Smith Shawver would start there and then bring Elder in afterwards. I kind of like that a little bit better, just because Elder would be better, later in the game. I think he's going to end up being a reliever too. So
yeah, shorter spurts. I think his stuff will be better.
Exactly. But overall for today's game, and like you said, it's definitely the Discord versus Gary here. All the Mets fans that are in Discord just love to root against the Braves, and so they're openly rooting for the Philadelphia Phillies to win the series, which I just think is, that's not fandom. Like, how are you going to root for another team in your division? Just hope the stadium blows up or something. I don't know. I just don't get it. But anyway, back to the Braves. So one thing I am seeing that's jumping glaringly out of the page at me is Orlando Arcia is going to be the highest owned Brave today, just because of the position that he plays and his price. He's 3,400. He's projected to be the highest owned shortstop on the slate. I think he's a bad play today. He just has not hit the ball well recently. We do have Vaughn Grissom on the NLDS roster, so I wouldn't be shocked to see him get pinch hit for offense at some point, because Vaughn Grissom can hit the ball pretty well. And we also have Nicky Lopez still on the roster. We got both of them on the roster here, so they could plug him in for defense if needed. Just multiple pinch hit opportunities for Orlando Arcia to get out of the game. I know over the course of the season he's been really good for us. He made the All-Star team, but that hasn't been the case over the last month or so. So, and the same goes for Sean Murphy. The Braves catchers post All-Star break, I think I saw something. They got like a 170 batting average and haven't been getting on base. So the catcher position for the Braves has also been a down spot for us.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's going to be one of the higher owned catchers on the slate today. So I think you can just eliminate those two. I think you just eliminate those two out of your builds and go with the rest of the Braves, who are going to be much lower owned. I mean, Ronald Acuna at 13% owned on a 4-game slate. That sounds juicy. Marcell Ozuna, I mean, the dude, I don't know what he did after the first month of the season. He must have got something really good on the side. He got a side piece, something. He's doing something because the dude got 40 home runs after that putrid start to the season where Braves fans were hoping that he gets cut. I mean, they were calling
he's the best player on the slate, Gary.
I think so too. That's why I'm talking him up. I love him here. He's 4,100. Like, sign me up for some big beater.
The big beater, Sabres got him at 14% owned. That's crazy. All right, so with the Braves, since they've got a couple expensive guys, how would you rank like the top 5? So Acuna, Albies, Riley, Olsen, Ozuna, as far as priorities. You know, like if you're playing a couple of
them. Give me Ozuna first, just because of price. And then I like, obviously I like Ronald second, and then probably Ozzy third. Ozzy versus lefty is just money. He's been on fire down the stretch too. And then I like Riley. Riley has also been extremely good against lefties this season.
I think this is the cheapest price we've seen all year on Riley too.
Yeah, 4,900. Love it. I mean, 6,600 for Acuna too. But man, one guy I would not play. Another guy I wouldn't play is Kevin Pillar. He's 2,900. He's going to get some ownership, but he's going to get yanked like as soon as a righty comes in. Like, there's no doubt about it. Rosario's coming in the game. So I'm
probably going to play some Pillar just to get another stud in. You know, like, but also like if you're playing, like say you're playing Braves in Houston, Chas McCormick's only 700 more than him.
Yep.
So like, you know, he's priced decently close to guys who are going to play the whole game. And on a 4-game slate, you know, I think this is the one time, Gary, where like I'm fine, like not forcing the 5-man if it's a guy like Pillar and one-offing a guy like a Hayes or a Wallner or a Chaz, something like that. Any last thoughts on this game? We've got 5 minutes for the last one.
Nope, I think we're good. No Phillies for me.
Yeah, same. I'll be jamming Strider on all 3. All right, let's go to the last game here. We've got our guy Captain's Dodgers against, I don't know if there are any Diamondback fans in RPS Discord or in general. So it's just Captain's game here. What are your thoughts on Kershaw against Kelly?
I mean, I love the Snakes here. I've been saying it in Discord all day. I said it on the playbook today. I think the Snakes are gonna pound Kershaw here. His velocity is down to like 88.5 miles an hour on his fastball over the last month, 5 weeks or so. It's like I said earlier, it's coincided with a huge increase in exit velocity allowed and barrel percentage allowed. And this Arizona team hits him really, really well. And I'm seeing less than 8% ownership on every one of these guys on the Diamondback side. Christian Walker, Kettle Marte, Gabe Marino, Lourdes Gurriel are probably my favorites. Corbin Carroll, though, is probably one of the better plays on the slate. He's 4 for 7 with 2 bombs off Kershaw, lefty versus lefty, and I'm seeing 3% ownership. So I know he's expensive. He's 5,500, but this guy is he's like top 5 for MVP in the National League probably this year. Been really good all season. So I'm definitely more so on the Snakes. I like Kelly a little bit, and I think this ownership on the Dodgers is a little high for my liking. So I'll be off the Dodgers here, and I do like the Snakes.
Yeah, I think the Snakes are interesting. We're on that first 5 team total over 1.5 for Arizona. Just kind of a Kershaw current form fade, right? So yeah, I'm with you on Snakes. I'm probably going to limit them to minis and one-offs just because I am terrified of this Dodgers pen. And like what Captain said, if the plan is Kershaw for 5 and fly, then you're getting 4 innings of the pretty gnarly pen. But if they do beat him up, then you probably don't get the top guys. But my preference for like playing 3 lineups is to limit them to one-offs or minis. If I was playing 20, I'd probably play some 5-mans. The lineup looks good, or at least the projected lineup. Did we get news on Moreno? Like, is he going to play?
I haven't seen anything. I think he is going to play. I mean, he stayed in the game that game, didn't he?
Yeah.
When he got hurt. I think he's going to play.
Yeah, he's probably fine.
He's been awesome for them too, by the way. He's been really good.
My 3 favorites, are the cheaper ones. I like Walker, Gurriel, and Moreno, just because he's a catcher, right? And then if you're full stacking, just add Marte and Carroll, and there's your 5-man right there.
I just want to point out one more thing too at catcher that I'm seeing. I think Ryan Jeffers continues to be the best catcher play on all of these short slates. I'm seeing 6% ownership on him. He's 3,600, and the dude just rakes constantly. Like, I don't know. I mean, I get it that Verlander's high owned, but Ryan Jeffers at 3,600 to be 6% owned on a 4-game slate, I think is egregious when people are going to pay up for Will Smith, Adley Rutschman. Sean Murphy. I get it. I get it. But Ryan Jeffers just continues to do me well all season.
So Jeffers, 845 OPS on the year, 14 bombs and only 290 at bats. If you extrapolate to the full season, that's almost 30 bombs for catcher. So yeah, I like Jeffers. I'm going to be playing him in my Twins mini stacks against Verlander. Lots of pop there. Even a fine one-off too. I have a little bit more interest in the Dodgers than you do, just because, man, like it's pretty good weather there. It's going to be in the low 80s, wind blowing out. It might be the best hitting weather on the slate.
It definitely is.
I think this is going to be the 5th time they're seeing Kelly this year. I do like Kelly as a contrarian play, but man.
So I will say, in 4 starts this year, he has yet to give up a homer to the Dodgers. Just that far.
What did you do last time against him?
He gave up 7 runs. He got shelled. No homers, though. No homers.
No bombs. They'll hit some bombs off the bullpen if they beat him up early. But yeah, I mean, the issue is DK actually did a really good job here. So if you want to stack them with Betts and Freeman, it's going to be tough to play Strider, right? I think 2 of the 3 most expensive bats on the slate. And, if you're 5-manning them, you probably want both of them. I will say Will Smith at 4.4, I think, is a way better play than Sean Murphy at 4K.
100%.
Yeah, I like Smith a lot here at home. Muncy 4.6, JD 4.5. I think if I'm stacking the Dodgers and you want Strider, I think it's okay to skip one of Betts or Freeman just because of the prices on Smith, Muncy, and Martinez. What do you think about that? Because they're like 4.4, 4.5, 4.6.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%.
Yeah. All right, let's get some last thoughts in here and your play of the day. Overall, just slate thoughts and then your play of the day here.
Yeah, so I'm going to stick with. I haven't decided yet on my main team if I'm playing Braves or not. I know, like I said pre-show. I just always get nervous against Suarez. I haven't made that decision yet, but I definitely like the Twins. I definitely like the D-backs, and I definitely like the Astros. So I'm leaning to having a mix of those 3 teams on my main team with maybe an Ozuna one-off if I can make it work. But I don't think I'm 5-manning that lineup today. That's my takeaway.
All right, play of the day.
I got to go Ryan Jeffers. I talked him up. He's going to be the lowest owned catcher on the slate today. So yeah, I'm gonna just stay on brand with hyping him up and go Ryan Jeffers.
I'm gonna stay on brand too, and my play of the day is going to be Kyle Tucker. Going to get a bomb and a steal for us, 4,800. As our guy Stevers in the chat said, the price is criminal for our guy Kyle Tucker. All right, we are pushing up against the UFC show. Thanks for hanging out with us. Make sure to check that out. The boys will be on here shortly on the same channel. Enjoy all the baseball games today, all the college football, all the UFC. I'm sure there's other shit going on. I will be plugged into the MLB playoffs. I'm sure Gary will be all day as well. For Gary, I am Steve. We will check you out later.